Okay. Great road win. Really happy for our players. To go on the road, that's the hardest trip to play in the Big 12 with all the travel and an early kickoff and all that. I thought our guys were really laser focused and did a great job at the beginning of the game, coming out strong. We got the 2 turnovers. We played right off of it, turned them into touchdowns. Did exactly what we wanted to do. We had talked about it all week. Part of the plan to win, to play great defense. Want to hold them to under 100 yards. We held them to 51 yards. We want to win the turnover margin, 4-0, and actually got 2 of those to turn into touchdowns. And then we wanted to protect the quarterback. That was a huge emphasis for us, is just protecting the quarterback. They have 8 sacks, I think, the week before against Baylor, and we gave up none. We had, I think, 7 yards of negative rushing, and in the last 4 weeks, it had been 30-plus into the 50s of the last 4 opponents before us. So that was a big part of not getting behind the chains, not getting our quarterback hit and sacked. So I thought our O-line did a nice job. And in terms of that, we won. We tried to do everything we did, and I'm proud of our guys. So we hit a lot more goals. Guys, it wasn't good at times. It wasn't real pretty at times. It's still not what we want. I thought we played better in the secondary. I do think there is a lot more work to be done there. Our guys know it. Our coaches know it. We're working hard every day to try to tighten that up. We can't give shots. Can't give. Coach Patterson calls them walk-off homers. We've given up a few too many. You're shaking your head. You agree? No, I do too. A few too many in the last month, really, since the Iowa State game. And it's kind of been an issue, and I'm sure TCU is going to try to hit that and see if we've got it fixed, and we're certainly going to need to do that. The kicking game was good. We didn't do anything great, but I thought we negated their kickoff returner as one of the better ones in the league. Had a kickoff return for a touchdown the week before. So, that's kind of recap there from that standpoint. I thought Jet played well. He's played well the last 5 weeks, 10 touchdowns, 2 picks. But we continue to protect him. And then the other thing we do is we're making competitive catches. RJ, Eric Ezekama, Dante Thompson, all 3 of them made big catches for him, and that gives quarterback a lot of confidence. And, I look at the defensive side. Coleman gets another pick and plays well. Jordan Brooks, high-end production. Rico was probably, he's going to be our player of the game. But, Rico was all over the place and very, very productive, and proud of him. Rico's made a lot of progress for the last few weeks. So it's kind of a West Virginia recap. Address a couple things. Bowman, Allen, and Maverick, both of them cleared to play. And certainly it's our intent to redshirt them both. And so we'll move through the days to come and the weeks to come and continue to see them now lifting for the first time, full-blown lifting with Coach Scholes, as well as full practicing. They'd been in parts of practices, but had been very, very limited. Obviously, you guys saw them suit up, and they went through parts of pregame warm-up. But so we'll go from there. I guess any other injuries you guys can ask me about. But I think they're all day-to-day. So TCU, first of all, it's a rivalry game for us. It'll be a big game. I got asked a question earlier today, is there a lot of pressure on your guys? There's a lot of pressure on our guys last week at West Virginia. Backs against the wall. We know what we're going for. We're going for the same thing TCU is going for, to be bowl eligible. So it'll be a tough, hard-fought game. It's a program that, I've got a chance to coach against when I was in the Mountain West, but I've known Gary Patterson for a long time, since I was 18 years old. Coached me in college, and then really, the last 6 years as I've been a head coach, he's done a lot for me just in terms of helping me as a young head coach. And hadn't talked to me, I don't think, in 10 months. But before that, I've known him for a long time. Great guy, one of the best coaches in the country, one of the longest tenured. And he knows I got a tremendous amount of respect for him. And when I see his teams, they're tough-nosed. They're tough, hard-nosed. That defense, the D-line, their secondary is going to be on point. They'll know everything that we've done. So we'll have to be on point. It'll be a great game, and it'll be an extremely competitive game. So a lot of respect for TCU. Looking at their athletes. I mean, Max is that guy's going to be a hard guy to contend with. Again, another great quarterback in the Big 12, dual threat guy, and sneaky quick, sneaky fast, and tough kid. Number one is legit, one of the best playmakers in this league. Look at their defense. They got 2 young DNs. Man, they can get off the ball. They created a lot of pressure last week on Baylor. They got 2 really big D tackles inside. And then they got skill. They're young guys, but they are skillful and fast in the secondary. Very well coached on defense. You guys seen the stats in the Big 12. They're up there in every single category, and they have been for the last 20 years. So it's one of the best defensive units we'll see all year. So it'll be a major challenge for our guys and our coaches, and we'll have to be on point. But it'll be a big week around here to try to see if we can earn the right to even, deserve victory on Saturday. So with that, I'll open it up.
Coach, you mentioned real quick redshirting, plans to redshirt Maverick and Allen. Do you approach them with that kind of idea when it comes to that? Is there a constant dialogue between you all?
Yeah, good question. Maverick, no, because it's obvious you're going to redshirt him, and there's only possible 4 games left, 3 in the regular season with the bowl possibility. So that's an obvious redshirt. No conversation there. We talked to Allen last night. Talked to his parents. It's Allen's decision. 100% respect it. I agree with it, and I respect it. It's the smart thing to do. It's the right thing to do, and it's part of the new rule that I think in this is a good consequence. You can have good consequences because of a rule, and I'm not sure the rule was intended like this, but it's going to be used this way, and I think it's good.
Because of that rule, is there any thoughts of maybe getting Maverick some reps if that situation comes about?
Yeah, solid. And Allen could get his 4th game too. It's our intent to redshirt both of them. And again, they're going to have to start lifting and practicing full speed and all that. Now that's the other, they play the same position. And there's only one guy that can go in. And Jet's playing well right now. He's playing very well. And so you got all those factors involved. Does the situation present itself to get Maverick in a game? Who knows? Would we like to? Yeah, we'd love to. So I wanted to get him on the trip last week just so he can get used to a trip and warming up and, all those kind of things. But, we'll just see. We'll take it day by day and really kind of game by game and just to see where we're at, especially with Allen, because that's a little bit different situation than Mav.
When you watch TCU play defense, I guess the average viewer just looks like they play really good defense, and that's all. But from a perspective of maybe a little more X's and O's, what makes them so much more difficult over the past 10, 15 years to play offense?
They know what you're doing. I mean, the guy, he is good. I mean, he's a good game planner. Your routes, your protections, your backs, your quarterback's eyes, mannerisms. I mean, I think all of that goes into how a defense plays because they recruit, they develop. Over the years, he's taken more high school tailbacks and made them DNs. He's made them inside linebackers. He's taken high school option quarterbacks and made them inside linebackers. I've gone against them, and they are tough, hard-nosed, really good players. I bet they're football junkies. They're just tough. They're blue-collar, but they're smart coaches, and they've been in one system, and they know that system in and out, and they mix coverages. You see them in man coverage. You see them pressuring. You see them dropping. 4-man front, 3-man front. I don't know. Coach does everything. Very aggressive, very sound, very smart.
Coach, you mentioned last week being able to, you need to be able to rush 3 and apply pressure to the quarterback. Do you think that when you guys are able to do that, you can compete with anyone else in this conference?
I think we're better when we do that. We're better in the back end because now you don't have to commit everybody to the rush. Ask a DB coach. Ask a D coordinator. Anytime you can get rushed with your 4 down or your 3 down, depending on whatever front you're playing, I think it's an added bonus for that guy because now you can add in a backer to be the 4th or the 5th. You can add, you got 6-man pressure. You got 5-man You're playing one safety, 2, 3. I mean, you just got a lot more multiple. You can't land pressure with 3 guys, then you just got to start adding guys. And I think that's where we came into a problem at Kansas 2 weeks ago. We couldn't get any pressure on him. We got more pressure on the QB this week out of the 3-man. And, I think I mentioned it in here last week. You go back to the Oklahoma State game, same thing. And we got pressure on the QB with 3 guys. And it wasn't a scheme deal. It was just kind of an effort, and they played with good technique. They got on the edge and all those things. So, yeah, I think it's big.
Given the fact that you guys always put a focus on getting off the field on third downs, really converting those third downs and how key that can be in general throughout a game, since TCU's top 3 in both converting those and stopping the opponent, is there an added emphasis on that this week or something that you've looked at on their film that allows them to do that that you guys could see as a problem?
On their film?
Yes.
Say that part I didn't get it at the end.
Since they're top 3 in both converting on third downs and stopping the opponent
Oh,
on third downs, there's
okay,
an
both sides of the ball.
Yes.
Yeah. I certainly think our offense needs that. I mean, we had 2 3-and-outs Saturday. One of them was, on me as a head coach because it was right there at the end of the second quarter, and I told Yost, run it out, just run it. We're going to get out of here, punt it. We're going into halftime with the big lead. We had a week before against Kansas, I think we had 2 3-and-outs, and they were real, and they were right at the end of the game when we didn't need to be in the 3-and-out. So our offense has actually done a better job of that, and they've done a really good job. It's a emphasis for Coach Yost. Coach P, he wants 3-and-outs. He's used to 3-and-outs. That's a big part of our blueprint for success on defense is trying to have those 3-and-outs. We had some 4th-down stops, so we'll certainly take those too. That was a big part of the West Virginia game. And, what I didn't mention really in the opening statement, now that you're saying this, the 4th-down stops came in an area that was huge for us, and that's red zone defense. And that was a big part of, I just think probably how the outcome of the game happened Saturday was the red zone defense early in the game, as well as our ability to score touchdowns the first 4 or 5 possessions. I don't know, was it 5 straight? 4 straight? 4, 5? So, and at that point, you got a big lead, and we played good defense in third quarter, got behind the chains with some penalties in third quarter. So,
Coach, at one point in camp, I think the question was asked you about kickers and punters, and you'd rather talk about anything else outside of that fact. Now you have
you asked it.
2.
In the indoor. Sir? In the corner. I wasn't ready to talk about him that day, was I? Did I talk about Austin that day?
I don't recall. Ask specifically about kickers.
Anyway, you look like you'd rather talk about anything else but that. Now you have 2 mid-season freshman All-Americans at those positions, 1 guy in the Ray guy. Is that just a matter of them? They've just grown up and kind of filled in that role?
I think they both matured. I tell our freshmen that are playing, Trey's a redshirt freshman, Austin's a true freshman, Luke would be a true freshman, and we have, handful 6, 7 on offense and defense. Game 10 this week, they're not freshmen anymore. They've been playing since, the Montana State game, the vast majority of them. And we're not redshirting a lot of those guys. I think there's around 10 total-ish, give or take a few. They have matured. I'll give Mark Tomerdahl a lot of credit for those 3 specialists. Mark's done a really nice job bringing them along. We've protected them well. We've protected the field goal pretty well. We've protected the punt pretty well. Luke's done a nice job, been consistent. They have matured. You're right, and they've gotten games where there's been wind. We haven't had major bad conditions, but they've had some wind, not just here at home, but on the road. There was some wind Saturday, and there was wind at Baylor. Probably the most wind we've had all year has been in Waco, counting any home game. My trainers aren't in here. They do all that wind stuff for me. But yeah, I'm proud of those guys, and they deserve the recognition they're getting. Hopefully they'll finish the year strong.
Matt, Titan Steele receiving a Senior Bowl invite. Where have you kind of just seen his improvement this year? Is it been a preparation thing, or just, recovering from injury, chip on his shoulder, or what have you seen from him?
That one right there. I think just coming off the injury, I think he's got a lot to prove. The Arizona game wasn't one of his better games. It was just his first live action coming back. I think he's improved since then. You know, we've kind of got him settled in a little bit at right tackle, but there for the month of October, he's kind of gone back and forth. He's still a swing guy for us. If somebody gets hurt, we could move him. But Terrence is very mature. He's been here for a while. He's, you know, a graduate student. A senior captain, one of our captains, meets every week. He's very mature. Does a good job of bringing those young old linemen around and teaching them. But I've seen a guy with an edge. He wants to have a really good senior year. He wants to go out on top, and I've been proud of T. Steele.
Given the fact that both you and TC are both top in conference player in the top half of time of possession, I know a lot of people get the when they talk about your offense, they want to score as quick as possible and whatnot. But is there an extra emphasis when against a team like TCU in general that they like to control it so much that you kind of want to counterbalance that and control it a little bit more than you normally do, just to hold the ball more yourselves?
Well, our philosophy would be this: we want to score more than we want to possess the ball. So if we're having, 1-play drives, 4-play drives, 5-play drives, I'm good if it's in and in touchdowns. We have always been good with that. We can't have 3 and outs. We can't put our defense back out on the field because time of possession could be a factor. But we don't go into the game saying, hey, we need to possess the ball for some inordinate amount of time. It's kind of like you're playing an option team. You know that possessions could be limited. TCU is not an option team. But if you were playing that, I think there's times you think that. You just know you can't miss a turn. We think here not in terms of that, but in terms of we need to score touchdowns with our possessions.
Does your system then lend to, since you're already playing that way without thinking about it and you are possessing it fairly well, does your system lead to where you don't have to worry about it as much, where you're either scoring or you do get to?
I worry about it. I still worry about it. I mean, we got to stay on the field and score touchdowns. We got to finish with touchdowns. Big job, great job by the offense. We would have hit our goal. We actually just a shade under our goal because we had a turnover on downs inside the red zone. But 4 touchdowns, a field goal, and a turnover on downs inside the red zone this week.
Coach, as we get further into the season, you start to now kind of have to make decisions on redshirting guys, not redshirting guys.
Yeah.
Is there like a certain amount of number where you're like, okay, this is the amount that we can redshirt, or is it just if the situation lends itself, we'll redshirt?
Yeah, I think they're all individual decisions for every one of them. Don't ever look at the number in that class. Can they help us win right now? And do we need them to help us win right now? If the answer is yes, we play them. And then that's my job as the head coach to try to make sure our coaches are playing them. And I've always said this with the freshmen is we're going to commit to playing them. We're going to play them. They're going to make a mistake. We're going to bring them out of the game. We're going to coach. We're going to teach, inspire, put them right back in the game. Put them back in the game. They don't need to come stand by me. If we're playing them and we're past 4 games, let's play them on teams, offense and defense. I mean, at one point you had 3 true freshmen in there on defense, Rabbit, Alex, and Tony, and Tyreek was the next backer in, and he was playing all over the field on teams. And then, Chooks is returning the punts. You got the 3 specialists. I may be leaving one off, but those are all the true freshmen that we've kind of gone with right now.
Got time for about 2 or 3 more. What's the status of Evan Rambo and Sir Roderick Thompson and Desmond Smith?
All day today. Dez suited up, was ready to go last week as a kind of an emergency guy, Don, but he is day to day, kind of seeing how much he can do this week and can he go further. Certainly think he is a lot closer, and it should be real soon. Could be this week. I don't know. It's day to day. Evan, same thing, day to day. So Roderick came out of the game better. Good. I'm glad he came out of the game the way he did. And I'm hopeful, I guess I would say this week. I don't know the questionable, doubtful. He's day to day too.
Since you've gotten here that a lot of the guys would have to get used to your system, obviously implementing a whole new one. It just seemed like from watching the game, you guys were going more downfield than you have been. Was it just what West Virginia was giving you, or is there a certain comfort level that Jed or the offense has now reached with Geos and yourself?
Maybe a little combination of both. Jed's throwing a better deep ball. Our receivers are making plays down the field. There were a couple coverages that gave us those chances because they can certainly play certain coverages and certain things that can take all that away from you. But again, he's gotten better. I think he just missed one deep throw, and that was on the offsides call early in the game, first series, where the ball just is a physical mistake. Ball got away from him a little bit. But he's certainly thrown the ball down field. But what you got to do is you got to have guys making those plays. And, Rigdon made a big play, and certainly those other guys that I mentioned.
TJ good to go for this week?
I'll know by game time. We'll see as the week goes. Yeah.
Anything else?
For just a moment. You said it obviously is Allen's decision to redshirt. So he just didn't feel like the amount of games left possibly was worth losing this season.
I think so. Probably that's part of the factor. And how many games can you really get in right now? Is he going to be really ready to go, like mentally and physically this week? I mean, again, he's going to be lifting for the first time and really practicing because he's been limited, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of like just routes on air and even some of the very beginning warm-up stuff that David's done. So just in that, I think Don, his mom and his dad and him came to that decision. I 100% agree with it. If it was Wyatt, my son, I would have probably advised him to do the same thing. And I told him that last night, and I agree with him. I support him, and I think it's the right decision. I think it's a great rule to have. So I think you kind of factor all this in, especially this time of the year.
I mean, yeah, it's really hard to win road games on the road in this conference, especially. So, I mean, really everybody coming out there ready to play with the mindset that, we can't let anyone else determine how our season's going to go really helped us, and it's going to help us continue on through this stretch of the last part of the season.
I know you saw them from last year, and it's a different team, but what do you kind of remember about TCU? I know they have a new freshman quarterback, but Jalen Rager's still coming back.
Yes, sir. They have an extremely good run game, pass game. Our focus is to stop the run game, stay sound vertical, put pressure on the quarterback, and hopefully to get him to make some mistakes so we can get more turnovers and put the ball back in the offensive hands.
Coach Wells kind of mentioned that there's some freshmen that have kind of stepped up this year. Who have you kind of seen take that next step and kind of mature?
There's been a lot of freshmen. Zay, he's a redshirt freshman. He stepped up tremendously in the linebacker room. Our punter, Austin, he's done phenomenal. We had X White when he was available for us. He was participating very good in our role. We've had a lot of young guys really step up. Tony, he stepped up. And they're just contributing and trying to help get the seniors to leave out of here as winners.
Rico, what have you maybe taken from playing alongside Jordan this year for just to elevate your level of play? And since he will be gone next year, what have you maybe observed in him that you'd like to emulate?
Just having a sense of urgency with your preparation. Throughout the week is very important. Being able to find out certain tendencies that the offense has or that our opponents have. So it's just preparing well throughout the week to be able to perform on Saturdays.
From your perspective, what is his best trait as a linebacker?
Jordan's a freakish athlete. I don't really know if he has the best trait. He can really do anything. I'm very grateful to be able to play alongside of him. He teaches me a lot. He's just a freakish athlete. He can really do anything. He can drop in coverage. He can chase after a quarterback. He's just phenomenal to play with.
Rico, I guess what are some of the goals y'all are still looking to kind of achieve before the season finishes?
Get the seniors to leave out as bowl champions. That's what the coaches came in and promised our seniors, and that's what the team has promised our seniors as well. We want to be able to let them leave a great legacy here and to be able to have a ring when they leave and just leave their mark on Texas Tech.
Coach Wells, after the game on Saturday, a couple of players mentioned the kind of like backs against the wall mentality that y'all are playing with. To you, what does that mean?
It's just everyone versus Texas Tech. Not a lot of people think that we can do what we can do. And as long as we believe in each other and go out and practice with a purpose every day and just do what we know we can do, everything will fall the way that it should.
Is there a different focus you guys have to play with getting off the fields on third downs, given the fact TCU is one of the best ones in the conference of converting those and keeping those drives alive? What can change from first and second down to third down?
I mean, we just have to stay sound. Everybody has to do their 1/11. Sometimes we try to get outside of the framework of our defense, and it kind of hits us on the hand, so we all just have to do our job and, rely on our other teammate to do his job and not try to do too much, because that's usually when we have holes in our defense.
Do you guys like those scenarios, like those, third downs where you have to get a stop late in the game where, the pressure's on you guys as a defense?
I mean, honestly, myself, I do. I mean, what else could you really ask for? For it to be on you, for you have to make a key play, or someone on the side with you making a key play to be able to give the team an opportunity to win. I mean, I think that's really what everybody comes here to play for, to be able to make those big plays when it comes down to it.
And at a much-needed time, when everything seemed like it was going wrong, we had the ball bounce our way for one weekend, and we got to try and continue that success. We had a great week of preparation last week. We really turned up the intensity in practice. We had a focused game plan. We need to sustain that for the rest of the year and just, eke out 3 more wins.
Travis, I'm interested in the play where Keshawn got body slammed to the ground. You and Tayson were the first 2 there. Is that just an instinctual thing? Like, I'm not going to let anyone mess with my team?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to protect your own, especially on the road when, there's 70,000 people that were cheering for that play. You got to protect your people when your back's against the wall. I feel like that's my duty as a leader on the team, and I'll take the 15.
Are you able to get up in someone's face? You seem too nice from a perspective.
Hey, well, you can put the pads on and test my politeness if you would like.
Travis, what was different about the offensive scheme that you guys had such a success against their defensive line?
I think it was really just how we attacked it from a mental side of things. I think Coach Yost is very consistent on how he attacks the defense. He's very consistent on how well he prepares, how he tries to expose the weaknesses of each defense. His game plan doesn't change. It really changes week to week with how the offense is mentally preparing. How are we seeing what Coach Yost sees? Him relaying what he's a mad genius. So we don't speak the same language as him all the time. So when we get on the weeks where we're seeing the same things he does, that's when you'll see our explosive offense happen. That starts at the quarterback position, starts at the offensive line room. Each position has their own things they're looking at. But when we're all clicking like that from the press box all the way down to the field, it's a very seamless offense, and that's what I thought we had this week.
Travis, you're one of those seniors who's kind of fighting for a bowl berth in your last season. You've been in the position of the younger guys where maybe you can look forward to next season if this one isn't going well. How hard is it to get 18, 19, 20-year-olds, or how much do you worry about getting them focused on maybe the last 3 games of this year?
Yeah, I have 3 games left, or I hope fighting for a 4th, and I think it'd be a lot harder position for me to be in if I had regrets that I had these past 3 years. But I know that people before me, the leadership I had when I came in here, my teammates currently would never have let me take a step back and just wait for the next year. Those are the times when you're 18 years old that you would regret not fighting for these last 3 games to get that bowl berth. And when you're sitting in my shoes with, however many weeks left, all of those regrets are amplified. I'm very fortunate to be in a position that no one let me have a regret. And I can't imagine dealing with it, walking out in the Jones Stadium for 2 more games, having that on my back. What could I have done more? How could I have extended a season? What could I have done different to change my career here? I can't speak from that because, fortunately enough, Terrence Steele would have never let that slide. Whoever was before me would have never let that happen. And I think that, an 18-year-old kid's never going to listen to me when I talk about these things, when I talk about regrets, when I talk about I've been in your shoes. But I really ask them that, take a step back and ask what you want out of this college football career and what can you do in 3 years for these next 3 weeks to change the course of these next 3 years for yourself.
Travis, what do you feel from your perspective has made this team so resilient this year where you kind of come back in a game you score at the end, or obviously you get the big win last week. I guess what's made you all just so resilient?
I think it starts with how we're prepared from a coaching standpoint. Coach Wells is a resilient character himself. That is then amplified by Coach Scholes and his staff. I don't think that there's ever been a game situation I've been in this year that has been harder than what we've been put through in this offseason with Coach Scholes' program. We know that we can get through anything physically, and it's up to us as mental warriors. How can we make that next step? How can we match our mental focus to match our physical preparation? And then when your back's against the wall, when you're huffing and puffing, you're keeled over on the sidelines, you have to think back to what the coaches have told you in the coaching rooms, in the film rooms. What are you supposed to be seeing? What have they done? What have they put forth on their game plan to make us successful? And I think that ever-growing trust in that game plan, ever-growing trust in that physical side of things and the mental side of things is what really makes us resilient. I don't think that we're doing anything special. We're just falling back to our preparation.
Travis, after scoring on those first 5 possessions, scoring touchdowns, not even a touchdown after that point, what kind of positive, I guess, would you say that you found from the offense, even when you're not consistently scoring touchdowns in the second?
Right. I mean, I would like to say, it's easy to feel good regardless of the score when you win a game, especially on the road. It's a 3-hour plane ride that you have a smile on your face and you're not thinking X's and O's. But when you watch the film, a lot of our weaknesses were exposed from just individual battles. We weren't finishing blocks on the perimeter. We weren't finishing blocks in the interior. West Virginia simply out-efforted us the second half. I know the score didn't reflect that, but much props to them for coming out with such a deficit and then fighting their absolute tails off, something that we didn't match. I think that gets overlooked a lot when we win, especially by a margin like that and on the road. And we want to pat ourselves in the back, but there are definitely weaknesses that were exposed last weekend, and we need to finish a game. That we haven't really finished a strong game this entire year. So for us to continue the success, to build off of this win, that's something that we really need to prioritize.
Is that just that mentality of when you get up big, not being just happy with coasting the second half?
I can speak really when I don't know. I can't justify everyone's mindset, but I can tell you that when you're on the road, everyone's yelling at you, and then when you shut them up, it's like the energy kind of dies. So sustaining that energy from the sideline for self-sustaining that same spark that we fed off of coming in from the opening kickoff, keeping that flame going the entire game, regardless of the score, is always a challenge, especially on the road. But I don't think we need to. I wish we could just block out the scoreboard sometimes and just play ball, because that's when we play our best.
You've mentioned it a couple of times today, having your back against the wall, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Coach Wells has used that several times after the game and this morning. Is that something he's kind of preaching to this group or saying out loud, or is that just kind of a resounding feeling and emotion that the players and the coaches alike are kind of feeling about this group?
Right. I think Coach Wells is speaking into existence, but we may not be the brightest tool or the sharpest tools in the shed, but we're very aware of the situation we're in. We all know how to count to 6, and we have 2 more to get there. And with our backs against the wall, we only have 3 opportunities to get 2 wins. It's a dogfight. I think we have 3 amazing teams, probably 3 of the strongest teams in our conference up in front of us. We're going to play our best ball. Our back is against the wall. We're going to have to come out swinging, and we're fighting to get each step. Each week's a step closer to the goal that we have, and we got to make sure that we win that fight. Our back is against the wall, and I don't think we needed Coach Wells to address it for us to know it, but I'm glad he did and put it in the air.
What makes TCU's defense year after year just difficult to play against?
Oh, I think you know the answer to that. It's one of the best defensive minds in all of the history of college football as their head football coach. Much respect to Coach Patterson. What he's done there at TCU is amazing on the defense side of the ball as well as the offense side of the ball. They recruit great players on the defense side of the ball with great leadership as well. I have a close friend of mine that plays nose tackle for him, and always speaks highly of how much effort they play with, how much passion they play with. But I really do think it starts with the coaches. On that, much respect for TCU, like I said before, and he has that ability to get all those players to buy into his system. So yeah.
Travis, how pleased were y'all to give up no sacks, and who do you think deserves the most credit for that?
Oh, absolutely. We're very pleased every time we keep Jet clean. I think we could have done a better job of keeping people off him, even though the stat line says no sacks. He got hit a couple times just on some mental errors. But, yeah, especially them coming off a week with 8 sacks the Thursday prior when they played Baylor. They were on cloud 9, and we really knew we had a difficult task on our hands. So I think the fact that we had some of the young guys step up, like Weston and Dawson, really mature into their roles and take it upon themselves to keep Jed upright. I think if you were to ask who I'd give the most credit to, I would be those two kids, Dawson and Weston, for really maturing into those roles, realizing what was expected of them this week, and just playing not a flawless game, but playing with undenied effort, and that went a long way.
The game also said y'all did a good job of identifying their linebackers' positioning because they moved their linebackers.
Right, yeah. So speaking X's and O's, they lined up with 3 down linemen, but they were bringing 4 people for pressure every snap. So they had one of their linebackers that was blitzing every single play, and we were trying to identify that pre-snap. It's what we spent the entire week game planning against, trying to figure out who that person was, how we could tell who that person was, because they've had so much injuries. It wasn't just a personnel thing. So reading safeties and a pre-snap alignment, thing like that, was something that was asked a lot of us all, but really, like I said, was done very well by Dawson and Weston. I think they led the charge, really calling out who those people were and relaying the information to the rest of the 5 people so we could operate as one fist. And I think that's why we had success in the pass protection. Yeah, I really do. I think that they did a great job of finding that person and making sure we're on the same page.
What's your with Sir Roderick being coach said questionable today? What's your confidence level like in Tajon?
Oh, I think we all share the same confidence level in Tajon. We've all seen him play. He's one of the most elusive running backs in the conference, in my opinion. I think questionable for Sir Roderick is translates to likely. That guy's a fighter. He's been banged up since I've known him, but he fights through everything. There's no bit of adversity he can't overcome. But to answer the question about Tajon, the guy makes something out of nothing, it seems like, every play. So as long as we're giving him just a little crease for him to squirt through, I think he should have a very productive game for however long Sir Roderick's out.
Travis, against West Virginia, as a whole, you're going to look at 35 and say, oh, you guys were dominant. But I think, 2 of those touchdowns were on 4th down? Is that just the mindset of we got to win, doing a good job of winning that key down there, willing yourself into the end zone?
Right, and we knew the situation we were in going into the game. How important that game was, not only from an actual record standpoint, but just who we were competing against, the history between the 2 programs, things like that. We were very aggressive play calling that entire game, as well as on both sides of the ball. I think that also it made me feel really good because I feel like the coach trusted the offensive line to get some of those short yardage downs. I know we didn't execute every single time, but especially when we're on the goal line, where he trusted us on 4th down, 4th and 2, 4th and 1 with the 2 downs to punch it in the end zone. We have great running backs, and all we needed to give them was a crease. We did that twice, and it made me feel really good as an offensive lineman, because that's my favorite thing to do is, I'm coming at you, come at me, let's put it in the end zone. But yeah, I think, the aggressiveness from the play calling standpoint and that approach going into 4th downs, I'm not a coach, I can't really speak on it, but I think that we all know what situation we were in, and we were going to give them our best shot and, have all our guns ready to go and pulling all the triggers.
Travis, I know Don asked about the linebackers with West Virginia. I guess how important are the linebackers for TCU, especially Darrell Wallow, number 30?
Well, yeah, like I said, they're stacked on the defense side of the ball. Always is a challenge going against them. It seems like every year they're having a draft pick as a defensive lineman. This year they might have 2. That front seven's only amplified when they have great linebacker play. Like you just spoke about, he's a heck of a player. We're really going to need to watch a ton of film on him and find out, how can we attack him. It's going to be a long week of preparation, but I'm ready to go on Saturday. I'm really excited for the process.
You said a moment ago that you were good friends with TCU's nose tackle. Were you referring to Blacklock? Or?
Yes, sir. Missouri City, Texas. We played on the same Pee Wee football team. Him, Grant Delpit, Lorenzo Neal. It's a good team. Yeah, he actually, believe it or not, he might hate me for saying this, he was a youth Olympian sprinter. Won the 100 meters as like a 9-year-old. Next time I saw him, he was 320 pounds. When your face is on the Wheaties box, I guess you eat a bit more. Yeah. He's a good kid, though. We go back a long way. There's actually a picture of him and I at signing day from our district, arms around each other. Love going against him. It seems like every year he's getting better and better. He was a power guy out of high school. He's quick enough to have some more finesse moves. He's really grown into that with the system and the coaching he's gotten there. In my opinion, he should be, whenever he decides to go to the next level, an easy Sunday player. And I think that's attributed to his work ethic starting from the high school since I've known him back when we were 6'7".
So you played with him in Pee Wee, and I guess you played, what, district rivals when you were in high school?
Yeah, he went to Elkins High School. The biggest rivalry in Missouri City, Texas is Ridge Point and Elkins. And yeah, absolutely. We got after it. He went to the same school as Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma and Jonathan Giles. Yeah, we got it.